for today's cup of coffee, I have one of my favorite things. We have pirate ghost story.
We loves it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how goth and pirate goes together, but somehow it does.
That's like goth. That's like steampunk. Steampunk, for some reason,
Yeah,
leads
it goes
into goth.
It does.
And
I don't know how that's... And I don't have a problem with those. I really don't. Some of the other ones that have branched off, I have problems with.
Even as far as, like, with goth, like, people who get out of goth immediately go to vintage.
Well, yeah, I can understand. Well, a lot of it is Victorian
How?
style. There's that crossover with the Edwardian and the
Like
Victorian.
1950s, 60s stuff. Vintage. Like,
Well,
yeah.
Well, maybe it's the psychobilly thing. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Anyhow, I would love to be able to do pirate voice on this, like Patchy the Pirate. But it's just going to end up a hot mess.
What is this about?
It is going to end up a hot mess, so I'm not even going to...
What is it about?
It is about the Flying Dutchman.
SpongeBob? SpongeBob?
It's a copyrighted thing. But
Flying Dutchman?
it
SpongeBob?
is. The Flying Dutchman is very much before SpongeBob.
No, I know.
Yeah, but SpongeBob actually was a really good, is the operative word.
Yeah, past season 4 it was shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's really sad that they've done that to that franchise, but... And is his name Tom Kenny that is the voice actor? I think it is.
Yes, Tom Kenny.
He is brilliant.
He's a really good voice actor.
Yeah, he's one of the best. But our reference today is Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not always horrible. And it depends on the writer and stuff like that. This one was good.
Did I tell you about the time that I had to edit a Wikipedia page?
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was stuff that was missing from this one company or whatever that whoever made the article forgot to list them, and I'm like,
Right.
Okay, I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to add these into that.
Yeah. Well, I think that, don't they check to make sure that those things are accurate?
No.
No?
No.
So we could go on there.
It's open
and just,
source.
Like, write random shit.
Pretty
and people
much,
would
yeah.
believe
People do that to other people.
But they're supposed to have references. They're supposed to have references.
Sometimes, yeah.
But unfortunately, on some of the references, if I go to the link, it says, it's a 404, which is very frustrating. But I've done that on professional sites.
It's my bad. I am so sorry.
I've done this. He was raised better. He really was.
I was just scratching my eyebrow and then all of a sudden, demon.
Demon is right. Anyhow, going back to the Flying Dutchman, this is a legendary ghost ship which is said to never been able to make port, doomed to sail the oceans forever. And the myth is likely to have originated from the 17th century golden age of the Dutch East India Company. It says VOC. So that's probably the abbreviation in Dutch, which I'm not even, no. And Dutch Maritime Power. The oldest version of the legend has been dated to the late 18th century. And according to the legend, if hailed by another ship, the crew of the Flying Dutchman was said to try to send messages to land or to people long dead. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And purported sightings in the 19th and 20th centuries claimed that the ship glowed with a ghostly light. And in ocean lore, the sight of the phantom ship is a portent of doom. Doom, doom, doom.
Doom. Doom.
Invader Zim reference for those of you who may know. And it says in the Age of Sail, which I thought was pretty cool, the Brouwer route, devised by the Dutch navigator Hendrik Brouwer in 1611, greatly reduced the voyage between Cape of Good Hope, which is the Dutch Cape Colony, to Java, which was the Dutch East Indies, from almost 12 months to about 6 months. And that was compared to the previous Arab and Portuguese monsoon route.
Oh, wow.
6 months is a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, these people don't realize this far as the pirates and the sailors and stuff, they were gone sometimes for years. So
sometimes they wouldn't come back at all.
Well, that's true. It's a very, very dangerous life.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to do it. That's why they would Shanghai people. The first print reference to the ship appears in, now this is one hell of a title, travels in various parts of Europe, Asia, and Africa during a series of 30 years and upward. What? That was the title.
Oh my God.
And that was by John MacDonald. And the quote from this, the weather was so stormy that the sailors said they saw the Flying Dutchman. The common story is that this Dutchman came to the Cape in distress of weather and wanted to get into harbor, but could not get a pilot to conduct her and was lost, and that ever since in very bad weather her vision appears. So that's pretty cool. And the next literary reference appears in chapter...
Can you speak?
No, I'm struggling today.
Can you say reference?
Oh, I will tell you, the dyslexia has been horrible today.
It's not just you.
To send an email to take 15 minutes and to back key more than to forward key. That's a horrible thing. Anyhow, the next literary reference appears in chapter 6 of A Voyage to Botany Bay, also known as A Voyage to New South Wales, and that is attributed to George Barrington. And this passage goes, I had often heard of the superstition of sailors respecting apparitions and doom, but had never given much hope to the report. It seems that some years since a Dutch man-of-war was lost off the Cape of Good Hope, and every soul on board perished. Her consort weathered the gale and arrived soon after at the Cape. Having refitted and returning to Europe, they were assailed by a violent tempest nearly in the same latitude. In the night watch, some of the people saw, or imagined they saw, a vessel standing for them under a press of sail, as though she would run them down. One in particular affirmed it was the ship that had foundered in the former gale, and that it must certainly be her, or the apparition of her. But on its clearing up, the object, a dark, thick cloud, disappeared. Oh. Nothing could do away the idea of this phenomena on the minds of the sailors, and on their relating the circumstances when they arrived in port, the story spread like wildfire, and the supposed phantom was called the Flying Dutchman. Ooh. From the Dutch, the English seamen got the infatuation, and there are very few India men, but what was someone on board who pretends to have seen the apparition. Well, now, was he there? Did he see it?
Yeah.
He's pretending to see the apparition. I don't think so. The next literary reference introduces the motif of punishment for a crime in the book Scenes of Infancy by John Lydon. And it's written, it is a common superstition of mariners that in the high southern latitudes on the coast of Africa, hurricanes are frequently ushered in by the appearance of a specter ship denominated the Flying Dutchman. The crew of this vessel are supposed to have been guilty of some dreadful crime in the infancy of navigation, and to that have been stricken with pestilence, and are ordained still to traverse the ocean on which they perished till the period of their penance expire.
Oh, wow.
I love that style of writing.
Wow.
I do. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And traverse, I like that. I really do. Thomas Moore places the vessel in the North Atlantic in his poem, written on passing Dead Man's Island in the Gulf of St. Lawrence late in the evening, September 1804. That was the title.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. And,
right.
Quote, fast gliding along a gloomy bark. Her sails are full, though the wind is still, and there blows not a breath her sails to fill. And that's the end of that quote. And a footnote adds that the above lines were suggested by a superstition very common among sailors who call this ghost ship, he thought, the Flying Dutchman. And Sir Walter Scott, a friend of John Lydon's, was the first to refer to the vessel as a pirate ship, writing in the notes to Rugby a poem. At least he had a shorter title.
Yeah.
That the ship was, quote, originally a vessel loaded with great wealth, on board of which some horrid act of murder and piracy had been committed, end quote. And that the apparition of the ship, quote, is considered by the mariners as the worst of all possible omens, end quote. According to some sources, 17th century Dutch captain Bernard Folk.
What?
It could be Folk. It's F-O-K-K-E. I don't even want to go to the possible that I don't want to mispronounce that. You did it. You went there. You went there. Is the model for
When do I not go there? You tell me. When do I not go there?
Anyhow.
You know me. You know me better by now.
Bernard is the model for the captain of the ghost ship.
Uh-huh.
And Folk was renowned for the speed of his trips from the Netherlands to Java and was suspected of being in league with the devil. Yeah. The first version of the legend as a story was printed in Blackwood's Edinburgh magazine for May of 1821, which puts the scene of the Cape of Good Hope. This story introduces the name of Captain Henrik Vanderdecken.
Vanderdecken.
What a cool name for a captain.
Captain
Vanderdecken. That's just amazing.
He parked his van on the deck.
Well,
I love that.
For the captain,
oh, fuck you. That was funny.
It was. For the captain and the motives, I'm trying not to encourage you, elaborated by later writers of letters addressed to people long dead being offered to other ships for delivery, but if accepted will bring misfortune. And the captain having sworn to round the Cape of Good Hope, though it should take until the day of judgment. And, quote, she was an Amsterdam vessel and sailed from port 70 years ago. Her master's name was Vanderdecken. He was a staunch seaman and would have had his own way in spite of the devil. For all that, never a sailor under him had reason to complain, though how it is on board with them, nobody knows. The story is this, that in doubling the Cape, they were on a long day trying the weather to take Table Bay. However, the wind headed them and went against them more and more, and Vanderdecken walked the deck, swearing at the wind. Just after sunset, a vessel spoke to him, asking him if he did not mean to go into the bay that night. Vanderdecken replied, "May I be eternally damned if I do, though I should beat about here until the day of judgment." And to be sure, he never did go into that bay, for it is believed that he continues to beat about in the seas still, and will do so long enough. This vessel is never seen, but with foul weather along with her, end quote.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. So, it's like, don't be making these proclamations.
No.
Words, they have power.
Yes.
Now, there have been... What?
If you let them have power, they have power.
Well, no, I mean, it's like words have power. That's a reason to be careful with them, even whether you mean them or not. There have been many reported or alleged sightings in the 19th and 20th centuries. A well-known sighting was by Prince George of Wales, the future King George V. He was on a 3-year voyage during his late adolescence in 1880 with his elder brother, Prince Albert. There he is. Oh, God, he wasn't in a can. He was on a ship. Victor of Wales and their tutor, John Neil Dalton. They temporarily shipped into HMS Inconstant, and the damaged rudder was repaired in their original ship, the 4,000-ton corvette Bacchant. Bacchant. And that was where I found out that corvette is actually a small warship.
Oh, holy shit.
We're educational and shit. Okay, there we go.
Fascinating.
And the prince's log, and it's indeterminate as to which prince due to later editing before publication, records the following for the pre-dawn hours of July 11th, 1881, off the coast of Australia in the Bass Strait between Melbourne and Sydney. Quote, July 11th at 4 a.m. The Flying Dutchman crossed our bows. A strange red light as of a phantom ship a la glow, in the midst of which light the masts, spars, and sails of a brig 200 yards distant stood out in strong relief as she came up to the port bow, where also the officer of the watch from the bridge clearly saw her, as did the quarterdeck midshipman, who was sent forward at once to the forecastle. But on arriving there was no vestige nor any sign whatever of any material ship was to be seen either near or right away to the horizon. The night became clear and the sea calm. 13 persons altogether saw her. At 10:45 a.m., the ordinary seaman who had this morning reported the Flying Dutchman fell from the foretopmast cross trees onto the top gallant forecastle and was smashed to atoms. End quote.
Ooh, and are they just going to say that's coincidence that the Flying Dutchman is still not real? That was just a
it was real
horrible
today.
case.
They failed.
Yeah.
And Nicholas Montserrat, the novelist who wrote The Cruel Sea, described the phenomenon in the Pacific Ocean in his unfinished final book, Master Mariner, which was partly inspired by this tale. He lived and worked in South Africa after the war, and the story of the Wandering Jew. Now, the story of the Wandering Jew, because we couldn't just leave people hanging on that. What is that? From Encyclopedia, or it's Britannica.com, the Wandering Jew in Christian legend is a character doomed to live until the end of the world because he taunted Jesus on the way to the crucifixion. A reference in John 18:20-22 to an officer who struck Jesus at his arraignment before Annas is sometimes cited as the basis for the legend. The medieval English chronicler Roger of Wendover had reported that there was an Armenian man formerly called Cardophilus who claimed he had been Pontius Pilate's doorkeeper and had struck Jesus on his way to Calvary, urging him to go faster. Jesus replied, "I go, and you will wait till I return." And that Cardophilus was later baptized Joseph and lived piously amongst Christian clergy, hoping in the end to be saved. So that is the story of the Wandering Jew.
Okay.
And there's also a plant that has that name.
The Wandering Jew?
Yeah, there's a plant. So anyhow, I thought that was pretty cool.
That sounds like a joke that would come from South Park.
No, well. All right, news soon spread through the vessel that a phantom ship with a ghostly crew was sailing in the air over the phantom ocean, and that it was a bad omen and meant that not one of them should ever see land again. There was a little bit of panic aboard, you can imagine. And then the captain was told the wonderful tale, and coming on deck, he explained to the sailors that this strange appearance was caused by the reflection of some ship that was sailing on the water below this image, but at such a distance they could not see it, that there were certain conditions of the atmosphere when the sun's rays could form a perfect picture in the air of objects on the earth, like the images one sees in glass or water, but that they were not generally upright, as in the case of this ship, but reversed, turned bottom upwards. This appearance in the air is called a mirage. He told a sailor to go up to the foretop and look beyond the phantom ship. The man obeyed and reported that he could see on the water below the ship in the air one precisely like it. Just then another ship was seen in the air, only this one was a steamship and was bottom upwards, as the captain had said these mirages generally appear. Soon after, the steamship itself came in sight. The sailors were now convinced and never afterwards believed in phantom ships. But the captain couldn't explain why that the Flying Dutchman was upright.
Yeah.
So, in other words, these people wanted to believe what the captain said, and so they did and went along their merry way. Now, it says that another optical effect known as looming occurs when rays of light are bent across different refractive indices. This could make a ship just off the horizon appear hoisted in the air. I think that
they got strung up by rope.
I think that there is a ghost ship out there. In fact, I think there are quite a few ghost ships out there.
I mean, there's ghost ships, there's vehicles, planes, you name it.
Yeah.
It's out there. It's a ghost form.
Yeah. And our beloved Yates, who has jumped ship on us, he had reported one time, I think, he's from some section there in England, of seeing one of the ghost planes that was from World War II.
Damn. Now, that would have been terrifying to see, honestly.
Oh, yeah. He had actually sent quite a few stories. This is when we first changed format of the channel and stuff, so some of those early spoopy cups.
Spoopy
Cups.
Spoopy boys.
But yes, I very much believe that the Flying Dutchman exist. I would rather not see it myself, although the tall ships, I love them. And would one day like to. I've got to step foot on one before. I mean, they're reproductions, of course, but they're just glorious, vessels. They truly are. If there is such a thing as reincarnation, I believe that I was a pirate in one of the...
There's no doubt.
And I have met other people that I'm like, oh, you were a pirate with me, weren't you? Dr. Ortiz, I swear to you, I've told him that. We were pirates off of the Barbary Coast.
My God.
He just
There's no doubt, though. There's really no doubt that you have been a pirate of some kind in a vessel.
Yeah. Arg. Even though I can't do the accent now.
Not now.
But the Flying Dutchman, I think that is a very, very old story that came to mind today. And I'm like,
Dutchman.
Because we're still in the process at some point of reassembling our drunken pirate room. Because everybody has to have a drunken pirate room. Why would you not?
It's the drunken pirate themed craft room.
Yes, and we have little ghosts. We have little skeleton crews and things like that. When we get that project finished, then we'll take a video on that. So, Flying Dutchman, pirates,
Aaarrrggghhh, mateys.
Yeah, peg legs and eye patches and...
Peggy the pirate, steal all your booty.
All that stuff came from cannonballs when it smashed in large splinters of wood, and they ripped off body parts and eyeballs and lots of things like that.
Yes.
So that's the reason for the mangledness of some of the sailors.
Oh.
Any other comments on the Flying Dutchman?
I ain't got shit.
Except
that you could look like you could dress as the SpongeBob version of the Flying Dutchman.
I tried to get youngest kid to see if he could do pirate voice because he's brilliant at doing a lot of different voices.
Different voices, but I can't do a pirate voice.
You've just never tried.
What the hell you say?
Have you tried?
Yes, I have tried.
Okay. Arg.
If I can't do it, and I have tried to improve, and I can't do it still. Oh hell, it's not going to be in my vocabulary. It's not going to be in my dialect Rolodex anytime soon.
Well, you never know that somebody. There are people at some of these Renaissance fairs that have a tendency to do the pirate thing also, which is another reason I love the Renaissance fairs, and just fabulous performers. And what was it? The Brobdingnagian Bards, and their song, the Mermaid, Brobdingnagian. Anyhow,
you're looking at me like I know. All I know is the song. I don't know the people that sing it.
I will also provide a link in the description box to the song "The Mermaid," because we actually do have a collection of sea shanties here.
Yes.
And we do occasionally play them and sing along.
Literally a CD called Songs of the Sea that we would play
because
every
we're eclectic.
Time we went to the beach.
We play at just random points. It's like, Blow the Man Down. All these different things. What are you going to do with a drunken sailor? Whiskey in a jar.
That is not a pirate song. You chose the one by Metallica.
I love the version by Metallica. Actually, there have been many versions of Whiskey in a Jar.
Yes, you collect them.
I do.
You collect them.
I do.
My Strange Addiction TLC, come get her.
Sea shanties. It's okay.
She's addicted to sea shanties.
I love them. I do. Anyhow, if you've had experiences with paranormal, supernatural encounters, UFOs, aliens, cryptids, flying pirate ships, Yes, especially the flying pirate ships.
Mirages.
If you've got, I think drug-induced mirages. Are hallucinations the same thing as mirages?
No.
If you've got local...
Actually, maybe.
Maybe. It's just individualized.
I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up.
If you've got local, regional, family, myths, legends, what have you, send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. And you all have a beautiful, blessed day. Thank you so much for taking the time to share coffee with us. And know that you are loved. Yeah.
Don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that little notification button. Almost said bell that time, and I didn't. Be happy. Be happy I didn't mess up on that this time.
It's okay.
Except for my stuttering, I guess.
It's okay.
That's it. Bye. I'm done. I'm going.
Bye. Arg.